are back, and Hillary Clinton is taking a lot of heat for revelations about her emails and links between the Clinton Foundation and the State Department when she was Secretary of State. But is the media giving it as much attention as they are giving to things like Donald Trump and the tweets that he sends out? We asked that question. Howard Kurtz, Fox News media analyst and host of Media Buzz, joins us with a look at whether or not there is a bit of bias going on here. So, Howie, what do you think?
Good morning, Martha. As we kick off our new Bias Watch segment, it's no secret that Donald Trump gets far more media scrutiny and does far more interviews than Hillary Clinton. We took a closer look at the network evening newscasts over the past week. Last Friday, for instance, networks were consumed with Donald Trump's campaign shakeup. The CBS Evening News doing a full story on that.
Donald Trump is rebooting his campaign, and the first person to get the boot today was his campaign chairman.
And ABC's World News Tonight covering Trump's expression of regret for some of his past rhetoric and his visit to flood-stricken Louisiana. Questions about the Clinton Foundation were treated as a footnote, drawing no coverage on CBS and 3 sentences on both NBC and ABC.
There's also news at this hour, Tom, about the Clinton Foundation.
David, today former President Bill Clinton made a major announcement saying the Clinton Foundation will no longer accept foreign or corporate donations if Hillary Clinton is elected president.
Or take Monday night this week, all 3 newscasts prominently covering Trump's postponing of a planned address on dealing with illegal immigrants.
We begin tonight with Donald Trump today suddenly putting a major speech on immigration on hold.
Donald Trump took his campaign to a battleground state as he reconsiders his immigration policy.
Questions swirling around Donald Trump and his stance on immigration, one of his signature issues.
But Monday was also the day we learned that the FBI had found another 15,000 emails from Clinton's private server, and the conservative group Judicial Watch released new emails involving favor-seeking by the Clinton Foundation. CBS and NBC's Nightly News did air stories on the subject, but ABC carried only a few sentences. By Tuesday, after the New York Times made the foundation its lead story, the network newscast did more, but CBS, for instance, covered Clinton after its lead story on Trump, quote, retooling his immigration policy. Now, it's true that the tangled web between Clinton's State Department and her family foundation is an old story and can also be a complicated one. Covering Trump's controversial remarks and tweets is easier and better for clicks and ratings, but that's no excuse for what is clearly an unbalanced level of coverage. Bias, though, can work in both directions. Some conservative media outlets and commentators keep pushing unsubstantiated theories about Hillary Clinton's health, pointing to isolated photos and a video that don't prove anything. Martha.
Interesting. You know, when you look at that AP story that looked into the foundation, the number of meetings that Hillary Clinton had, and how many of her non-governmental meetings were with foundation donors when she was Secretary of State, that's the same group of reporters, I believe, who uncovered the Paul Manafort story in terms of the Ukraine ties, and also the fact that there was an email server in Chappaqua that was Hillary's. So you would think that that AP story would have gotten, you know, sort of equal credence as those other 2 stories did, Howie.
Well, it's gotten a fair amount of traction in the media. It didn't make the print edition of the New York Times. I think that was a misjudgment. The Times did put it online. And, you know, it's interesting, we're talking here about bias. Hillary Clinton's campaign, perhaps not used to the intense level of media scrutiny that Trump routinely receives, has pushed back against that story and calling it distorted and so forth. But the questions the Clinton campaign has raised, for instance, only 2 years of her calendar were included because AP sued, and that's all it was able to get the State Department to cough up. All those caveats are in the story. And so I think the story was written very carefully worded and with some restraint.
Yeah, I mean, there has been some sort of scrutiny from Democrats, including Axelrod, who basically said that he didn't think Hillary Clinton should be laughing off the story. She first chose to deal with it on an appearance with Jimmy Kimmel, and she kind of laughed about the revelations here, Howie.
Now, the fascinating thing here is that some liberal editorial pages and even the uber-liberal Huffington Post have called for the Clintons to shut down the foundation now. And just to briefly circle back to the network news coverage, if we can throw up a graphic, you look at the imbalance overall. There's been some good reporting on the Clinton campaign, but this year, 979 minutes devoted to Donald Trump on the network evening newscast, 362 minutes to Hillary Clinton.
Well, I guess you could, he puts himself out there a lot more than she does, so there's more fodder for those newscasts on a daily basis. Maybe part of the reason for that as well. Howie, thank you. Looking forward to more of these. We'll see him throughout the week. Thanks, Howie.
Thanks, Martha.